We were blind. It looked at the battlefield again, at the fast-moving human ships, at the burning remains of its fleet, at the planet below, now fully armed, and finally, it understood. This was never a negotiation. This was never control. This was war. And humans had been ready for it long before the Dominion arrived. Back in the Human Command Center, the commander spoke one final time. "Phase 3 ready." An officer looked up. "Sir, all ready." The commander's eyes stayed on the screen. The battle was still going, but for him, it was only the beginning. "They threatened our home," he said quietly. "Now we show them the cost." Far in space, new signals began to rise. Stronger, heavier. Something bigger was coming. The first strike had landed. The Dominion fleet was damaged, shaken, unstable. But the war was far from over, and the next move would change everything. The battle did not slow down. It only grew louder. Across space, fire and light filled the darkness. Explosions burned where alien ships once moved in perfect formation. Now that formation was broken. The Dominion fleet was no longer a single force. It was scattered, separated, and that made them weak. Human ships moved between them like hunters, fast, precise, relentless. Target isolated. Engage. A small group of human fighters surrounded a damaged alien cruiser. The alien ship tried to turn, its engines failing, its weapons slow. Too slow. Fire! Beams struck its core. The cruiser exploded. No hesitation, no mercy. Inside the alien flagship, chaos had replaced order. Multiple ships lost. Communication lines are down. "We cannot regroup." The Dominion commander stood still, but its mind raced. This was not how it was supposed to go. Humans were not supposed to fight like this. "They are attacking our coordination," one officer said. "They are breaking us apart." The commander finally spoke. "Then we change the battlefield." All eyes turned to it. "Focus all fire on Earth." The room went silent. "Sir," an officer asked carefully, "if we destroy their home, they will stop." It was a desperate choice, but the commander believed it would work. Because fear always worked. "Prepare planet strike weapons." "Yes, Commander." Massive alien ships turned slowly. Their largest weapons began to charge. Deep red energy gathered at their fronts. The target was clear. Earth. Back on Earth, alarms sounded across the hidden command center. Enemy weapons charging. Trajectory locked on Earth. Screens flashed red. For the first time, the danger was real. An officer looked at the human commander. "Sir, they are going to fire." The commander did not move. "Let them." The officer froze. "Sir?" "Hold all attack units," the commander ordered. Across space, human ships slowed slightly. They did not retreat, but they gave space. The alien commander saw this and felt a small sense of control return. "They are afraid," it said. "They are protecting their home." "Fire!" The command echoed through the Dominion fleet. And then, massive beams of red energy shot toward Earth. They cut through space like burning lines. Fast, powerful, deadly. People on Earth saw it, from cities, from villages, from oceans. Bright red lights falling from the sky. Fear returned instantly. "This is it. They are attacking." But just before the beams reached the planet, something appeared. A shield, a massive glowing barrier formed around Earth. Soft blue light covered the entire planet. The alien weapons struck it and stopped. The beams spread across the surface of the shield, but did not break it. The sky lit up in blue and red. Energy clashed, but Earth stood unharmed. Inside the alien flagship, silence filled the room. "What is that?" An officer whispered. "Energy shield detected," another replied. "Planet-wide coverage." "Impossible." The Dominion commander stepped closer to the screen. The shield held strong, not even shaking. "They were ready," it said slowly. Back on Earth, the Human Command Center remained calm. "Shield holding at 100%, a technician reported. No damage." The officer who had panicked earlier now stared in disbelief. They cannot break it." The commander nodded. "We built it for this moment." Outside, the alien beams faded. Their attack had failed. Completely, and now everything changed. The human commander raised his hand. "Resume full assault." In space, human ships surged forward again, faster than before. Stronger. No, they were not holding back. "Attack all heavy units. Target command ships. Destroy their weapons." The Dominion fleet tried to respond, but something was different. Their confidence was gone. Fear had taken its place. They blocked our main attack. "We cannot damage their planet." "What do we do?" For the first time, the aliens were asking that question. "What do we do?" The human fleet did not give them time to answer. They struck hard. Coordinated attacks hit key ships. Explosions spread across the battlefield. One large alien destroyer tried to escape. Human ships chased it down. Target locked. Fire! The destroyer exploded into pieces. Back in the flagship, the commander watched everything fall apart. Ship after ship, unit after unit, destroyed. Lost. They are controlling the fight, an officer said quietly. The commander did not respond, because it knew the truth. They had already lost control. Suddenly, warning! Unknown signal detected. Source? Deep space. Beyond human fleet. The screen changed again, far beyond the battlefield. Something massive moved. Slow, heavy, powerful. The signal was unlike anything before. Even the humans paused for a second. Back on Earth, the command center detected it too. Sir, new object detected. The commander looked up. What is it? Size, extremely large. How large? The technician hesitated. Bigger than any ship we have seen. The room went silent. The human commander stared at the screen. For the first time, his expression changed slightly. Not fear, but focus. Is it theirs? An officer asked. No, the commander said. Then what is it? The massive object moved closer, slowly entering the edge of the battlefield. Its shape was unclear. Dark, silent, watching. Both sides stopped for a moment. Humans, aliens, everyone. Because now, there was something else in the war. Something unknown. The Dominion commander looked at the new signal. What is that? No one answered. Back on Earth, the human commander gave a quiet order. All units, hold position. The battlefield froze. Weapons stayed ready. Engines stayed active. But no one fired. Because something had just changed. The war was no longer simple. The Dominion had come to control humans. But now, they were no longer the only threat in space. The massive object moved closer, slow, silent, watching everything. And as it entered range, a new signal began to form. Stronger than anything before. Older, heavier, more dangerous. The human commander narrowed his eyes. Prepare for anything, because whatever was coming next would not be easy. The battlefield went silent. For the first time since the war began, no one fired. Human ships held position. Alien ships stopped moving. Even the broken remains of destroyed vessels floated quietly in space. Because something else had arrived. Far beyond both fleets, the massive object moved slowly forward. Dark, endless, heavy. It did not look like a normal ship. It looked older, stronger, different. Inside the Dominion flagship, fear spread quickly. What is that thing? One officer whispered. No known design matches it, another replied. Is it human? A third asked. The commander did not answer, because it did not know, and that scared it more than anything. Back on Earth, the human command center watched closely. All screens focused on the object. Energy levels? The commander asked. Extremely high, a technician replied. Higher than the entire Dominion fleet combined. The room fell silent. That's not possible, an officer said. But the readings did not change. The object was real, and it was powerful. Is it ours? Another officer asked. The commander shook his head slowly. No, for the first time. Even humans were unsure. In space, the object finally stopped, right between the two fleets, like a wall, like a judge, watching both sides. Then, a signal was sent, stronger than anything before. It reached every ship, human, alien. Every system lit up at once. The message began. No image, only a voice. Deep, calm, ancient. Conflict detected. The words echoed across space. Every ship received it. Every mind focused on it. Unauthorized war in monitored zone. The Dominion commander stepped forward. Who are you? It demanded. For a moment, there was no reply. Then the voice spoke again. We are the Watchers. The name meant nothing to most. But the tone carried power, authority, age. This region is under observation. The alien officers looked at each other. Observation? One whispered. What does that mean? The voice continued. Primitive civilizations are not allowed to be harvested or controlled. The Dominion commander froze. Harvested. Controlled. That was exactly what they planned. Back on Earth, the human commander's eyes narrowed. He said nothing, but he understood. This was not random. This had been watching them for a long time. The Dominion commander tried again. We are the Dominion. This world is unprotected. We have full right. The voice cut it off. Incorrect. Silence followed. Heavy silence. This world has been under silent observation for centuries. The human officers looked shocked. Centuries? One whispered. The voice continued. Humans were not interfered with. Their growth was tested. Their survival was evaluated. The human commander slowly understood the truth. We were being watched, an officer said quietly. The commander nodded once. Yes. In space, the Dominion commander stepped forward again. You allowed them to grow? It asked. They are unstable, violent, dangerous. For a moment, there was no reply. Then, correct. The answer shocked everyone, even the humans. Humans are dangerous. The voice did not hide it. They're aggressive, emotional, unpredictable. Inside human ships, some officers looked uncomfortable, but the voice continued. But they are also resilient, adaptive, protective of their origin world. The battlefield remained silent. No one dared to interrupt. The test was simple. Would they destroy themselves or defend their home together? Back on Earth, the commander looked at the screen. All the wars, all the conflicts, all the history. A test. It had all been a test. Result, humanity survived. Humanity united when threatened. The voice grew stronger. Conclusion, humanity is worthy. Inside the Dominion flagship, panic spread. This is not acceptable, an officer shouted. They are just a primitive species. The commander raised its hand. But even it was losing control. What does this mean? It demanded. The answer came quickly. Cold, clear, banal. This world is now under protection. Silence, pure silence. The meaning was clear. Earth was no longer free to be attacked. Not by anyone. The Dominion commander felt something it had not felt in a long time. Fear. Real fear. This is not over, it said. We can still... No. The voice cut through everything. You threatened a protected world. You initiated conflict. You failed to win. A pause. Then the final words came. You will now leave. The alien commander clenched its fists. And if we refuse? For the first time, the voice changed slightly. Not louder, but heavier. Then you will be removed. At that moment, the massive object moved, just slightly, but the energy around it increased instantly. Weapons, unknown, unimaginable. Even the human systems could not measure them fully. Inside the Dominion fleet, panic turned into fear. We cannot fight that. Our weapons will not work. We need to retreat. The commander looked at the battlefield, at its broken fleet, at the human ships, still ready, at the massive object, watching. And finally, it understood. This war was over, not because humans won alone, but because they had proven something bigger, something important. The commander spoke one last time. All units, retreat. Across space, alien ships began to pull back. Slow at first, then faster. They turned away from Earth, away from humans, away from the Watchers. The war was ending, but not in the way anyone expected. Back on Earth, the human commander watched silently. An officer asked softly, "Sir, is it over?" The commander did not answer immediately. He looked at the massive object one last time. Then he spoke. No. A pause. This was just the beginning. Because now humanity knew the truth. They were not alone. They were being watched, tested, judged, and somehow they had passed. The battlefield grew quiet. No explosions, no weapons, no movement, only silence. The Dominion fleet was leaving. One by one, their ships turned away from Earth. Damaged vessels moved slowly. Others followed behind them. They did not fight. They did not speak. They only retreated. For the first time since their arrival, they accepted defeat. Human ships did not chase them. They stayed in position, watching, waiting, ready, just in case. Inside the alien flagship, the commander stood alone. The screen showed the same image again and again. Earth, still safe, still untouched. This was not supposed to happen. One officer said quietly. The commander did not reply. It had no answer. They came to control humanity. Instead, they had been forced to run, not just by humans, but by something greater. Set course away from this system, the commander finally said. Yes, Commander. And mark this world. The officer hesitated. Mark it as what? The commander looked at Earth one last time. Its voice was low, heavily protected. A pause, and highly dangerous. The Dominion fleet disappeared into deep space. They did not look back. Back near Earth, the massive object remained still. The Watchers, silent, watching. Human ships held their position. No one moved. No one spoke. Because one question remained. What happens now? Inside the human command center, every eye was on the screen. The unknown object still floated in space. Calm. Powerful. The same voice returned. conflict resolved. The human commander stepped forward. "Who are you really?" he asked. This time there was a short pause. Then the answer came. "Observers, guardians of balance." The commander listened carefully. "Why us?" he asked. "Why watch humanity?" Another pause. Then, "Because you are different." The room stayed silent. The voice continued. "Many species grow, many civilizations rise, but most destroy themselves." A few officers lowered their eyes. Human history was not peaceful. It was full of war, full of mistakes. But the voice went on. "Humans fight each other, but when their home is threatened, they unite, they protect, they endure." The commander understood. "That was the test," he said. "Yes. Simple, clear. And now?" the commander asked. The answer came without delay. "Now you are no longer alone." Those words changed everything. Inside the room, no one moved. No one spoke, because they all understood what it meant. Humanity was no longer just a small species on one planet. They were seen, recognized. Back in space, the Watcher's massive structure began to move again, slowly, turning away. "Wait," the human commander said. "Will we see you again?" For a moment, there was no answer. Then the voice came one last time, "When necessary." And just like that, the signal ended. The massive object faded into darkness, gone, as if it had never been there. Space returned to normal, but nothing felt normal anymore. Hours later, human ships slowly returned to Earth. The defense grid powered down. Fighter units landed. The world began to breathe again. People came out of their homes. They looked up at the sky. It was clear, blue, peaceful. But now they knew. They were not alone in the universe. News spread quickly across the planet. The invasion, the battle, the retreat, the Watchers. Everything. For the first time in history, humanity shared one single truth. They had faced a threat together, and they had survived. In the command center, the human commander stood quietly. An officer walked up to him. "Sir, what happens next?" The commander looked at the Earth on the screen. Bright, alive, protected. "We prepare," he said. "For what?" The commander's voice was calm. "For everything." Because now humanity understood something important. The galaxy was not empty. It was full of powers. Some watching, some waiting, some maybe even worse. Days later, far away in deep space, the Dominion fleet regrouped. Damaged, weakened, silent. One officer spoke carefully. "Commander, what do we report?" The commander looked forward. Its voice was steady, but changed. "We report the truth." "And that is?" A long pause. Then, "Humans are not to be threatened." The officer nodded slowly. "And Earth?" The commander's eyes narrowed. "Earth." A pause. "It is a line you never cross." The fleet moved deeper into space, carrying a warning, a lesson, a memory they would never forget. Back on Earth, life continued. Cities rebuilt their systems. People returned to normal. But something had changed inside them. They were stronger, more united, more aware. And far above the planet, hidden once again, human satellites watched the stars. Because now humanity was no longer just surviving. They were ready. Ready for the future. Ready for the unknown. Ready for whatever comes next. And across the galaxy, one truth quietly spread from system to system. A warning. A message. A legend. Do not threaten Earth. Do not test humans. Because if you do, you will regret it.